Welcome, my friends, to Art Studio Weekly. I'm Troy. Clearly, I am not in my studio right now. I am walking the streets of Mackinac City, Michigan. It's in the northern part of the state. It's where a lot of people from Michigan and maybe other Midwestern places go to get away, to go to nature, to connect with something outside of their normal routine, I guess. And I just took a trip out to South Dakota from Michigan and then made my way back through the Upper Peninsula. I'm headed back down to the southern part of the state. The point of all of this geographical rambling is that I'm just thinking about getting out of my studio and what that has meant for me this week, or what it could mean for works that I'm doing. Like today I was in Marquette near Presque Isle Park. And I was doing some painting by the waterside, and I just sat there and just did a bunch of works. Nothing necessarily that I liked that much, but I kept thinking about how good it was to get out of the space that I'm normally in. Do those spaces confine us? They're comforting, yes, but they're also kind of limiting in a way. We tend to rely on them. We tend to take them for granted, maybe, and especially during the pandemic and the protests and all the sort of the uneasiness and uncertainty that's around everything. Maybe it's a good time to be mobile. Can you take a pad of paper out into the woods and create something? If somebody gave you a piece of chalk and a chalkboard with a frame around it, would you be able to create something interesting? If somebody gave you yarn and some thumbtacks and said, put something up on this wall, would you be able to do it then? I think those are good tests. I like those tests. I like to be able to put myself in situations where I'm out of my comfort zone. It's not always easy. I struggle with it. Like today, for example, I did the paintings, or they're like oil pastels on paper by the water's edge in Lake Superior, sitting on the rocks, the Black Rock in Presque Isle National, or I don't know if it's a national park, but it's a park anyway. And and then I went out and bought a ukulele. I've always wanted to buy a ukulele. I wanted to learn a couple of tunes, particularly some Hawaiian tunes. I love Hawaiian music. I think it sounds soothing. But I played guitar for decades, but never played a ukulele, and I thought, why not? You've always wanted to do it. Just do it. Just take that chance. And so this whole trip has been about, I may have another podcast, Pop Culture Fridays, if you're interested. And that is something that I did. I did a couple of episodes live in South Dakota. One from a ghost town, Owanka, South Dakota. And, I've got two things going on in my life, basically art and installations, video and sound installations, things like that. And then podcasting. In terms of creative projects or whatever my work is. And it was a good challenge to be on the road for, almost 2 weeks now. Well, not quite 2 weeks, but it'll be 2 weeks by the time I'm done with this, assuming I finish. But it's a fun thing. Sorry, it's dark. I've got this light on me, but I can't really see. But it's been a great challenge to see what I can come up with on the road with limited supplies and not having access to the traditional tools that I would have at my disposal. Expensive acrylic paints, whatever else. Like, I've just had to basically do stuff. I've done a lot of dispersed camping in the woods, a lot of hotels too, but playing it safe as I can, keeping my distance, sleeping in my car. Did that a lot, and it's been a great challenge, and that's something that I wonder if I should just continue. I have to have a home base. I have to be able to work out of like a stable environment so that I can produce things and then ship them out, or whatever it is that happens in that process. But to be able to step out of what you normally do, no matter what it is really a great thing. It makes you, I think it really gets the juices flowing, but it also makes you appreciate, the routine when you get back into it, if you get back into it. That's the one thing too. We always assume that we're going to get back into that routine, but maybe we never do. It's sort of, I've always thought that when you walk into a movie, that you're never the same person walking out. Whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, doesn't matter. You're never the same person. Maybe it's the same thing here. Like, let's say you're in your artist studio or doing work wherever you do it, and you take a break and you leave for a day and you go out and you have lunch somewhere, you take the day off, or you just want to think about things, and then you come back. You're not the same person. Now, I think there's a difference in what I think there can be a difference in the amount of change. Like if you just stop for a day and go out to lunch and you're in the other room watching Netflix, I think that'll have an effect on your work if it's something different than your routine. But I think, and I'm not bragging here, but just say dropping what you're doing and driving out to South Dakota from Michigan and going to a ghost town, and then being in Mackinac City and Marquette and doing paintings on the lakeshore and walking around at night like a fool, making this Art Studio Weekly podcast. I think that's going to produce a very different result. Not bragging. I mean, I'm bragging a little bit, but I'm just trying to illustrate the point that the bigger the discomfort, maybe, perhaps the bigger the difference in the results that you normally see. I don't know. Let me know what have you been doing during the pandemic and during the protests and all this radical change that we've been thrust into, so to speak. Are you doing things differently? What are you doing? I mean, this is what I'm doing. I'm coping with it. I was locked up. I was very fortunate where I was, and still am basically, but to be locked up like that for so tightly for a few months, it was inevitable that I was going to burst out and drive to South Dakota or whatever. So, you just got to listen to your body and your mind. Big one. Mind and body, because they'll tell you what to do, I think. You'll know if you're listening, if you got to put your ear to the ground if you want to hear the buffalo coming. All right, that's all I got for this week, Art Studio Weekly. I guess I'll be back in my studio this week, but probably not. So maybe the next few weeks and few episodes I will be doing something different than in the past. You can follow the website thisiswhereyouare.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at TroystonD. I'm rarely on Facebook, so you can find me. This Is Where You Are has a Facebook page, but I don't check it very much. So let me know. Let me know what you think. What are you doing? Let me know what you're up to, what your studio looks like, what your habits are, and I just appreciate hearing from you. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.